Have you ever wondered about the origins of Memorial Day? Well, today I'm going to tell the story about formerly enslaved people in Charleston and the very first celebration of Memorial Day. You can reach out to me at onemichistory.com in the contacts page. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so on my Buy Me Coffee and my Patreon page in the description below. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and support the YouTube channel. But without further ado, let's get started. Memorial Day celebrates and commemorates the brave soldiers that lost their lives during all American conflicts, but its roots are based in America's deadliest conflict, the Civil War. Born out of necessity due to the colossal amount of lives lost during the conflict, at least 600 to 800,000 Union and Confederate soldiers perished. To remember their lives, the first National Memorial Day was observed May 30th, 1868. The origins of Memorial Day, though, are hotly contested, with many cities in the United States each claiming to be the birthplace of the first celebration. Previously, the earliest annual commemoration was thought to be organized by women of the Civil War Hospital in Columbus, Mississippi. The ceremony was held in honor of fallen soldiers by laying flowers at their graves in April of 1866. But historians have long sought to shed light on freed African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina, who conducted an even earlier Memorial Day observance. This celebration would occur in 1865 and was dubbed Decoration Day. David Blight, a professor of American history at Yale University, was doing research on the Civil War in 1996 when he was given the opportunity to examine 2 boxes of unsorted material from Union veterans from Harvard's Houghton Library. He discovered a handwritten story detailing an 1865 march on a racetrack accompanied by a date referencing an article in the New York Tribune and a file labeled First Decoration Day. The racetrack in question was Washington Racecourse and Jockey Club in Charleston, South Carolina. In the late stages of the Civil War, the Confederate Army repurposed the Washington Racetrack and Jockey Club, a luxurious country club and horse racing track in Charleston, South Carolina, to hold Union prisoners of war. The makeshift prison was located in an open-air field of the racetrack. Sadly, 250 Union captives would perish from disease and exposure while being held at the site, and their bodies were hastily buried in an unmarked mass grave. When Confederate soldiers evacuated Charleston, newly emancipated Black people remained in the badly damaged city, and one of the first things they did was honor fallen Union soldiers. Approximately 10 days leading up to the event, they exhumed a mass grave and reinterred the bodies in a new cemetery along a whitewashed fence that was inscribed with the words, "The Martyrs of the Racecourse," in black letters. May 1st, 1865, approximately 10,000 people attended a large-scale memorial gathering to honor the fallen Union soldiers. During this event, 3,000 children from the local Black schools marched around the racetrack holding roses and singing the Union hymn of John Brown's body. Reverends would lead the attendees in prayer, spirituals, and other religious activities during the event. Union officers, missionaries, and Black pastors also frequently delivered speeches to commemorate the fallen soldiers. The people at the memorial gathering sang numerous patriotic songs, including, and not limited to, "America, We Will Rally the Flag," and the Star-Spangled Banner. To close out the day, later in the afternoon, 3 white and Black regiments from the Union Army marched around the graves in a choreographed drill, and this tribute was documented in both the Charleston Daily Courier and the New York Tribune. This Memorial Day observance, organized by freed enslaved people, was at least a year before any other U.S. city and 3 years before the national observance, making the gathering on that Charleston racetrack the earliest Memorial Day commemoration on record. In the wake of the American Civil War, by 1868, General John A. Logan of the Union Army directed the commemoration of Memorial Day on September 30th, urging Americans to honor the deceased combatants by decorating their graves with flowers. And by 1889, Memorial Day was a national holiday. White Charlestonians quickly forgot about the 1865 gathering at the racetrack by formerly enslaved people. Evidence of this event wouldn't appear again until 1916 correspondence between the United Daughters of the Confederacy chapter in New Orleans and their counterpart in Charleston, in which it was asked about a big parade of freed slaves on a horse track at the very end of the war. The Charleston office will respond that I regret that I am unable to gather any official information to answer this. Subsequently, in the late 1880s, the horse track and country club was torn down, and the remains of the Union soldiers were relocated to a more prestigious gravesite in Beaufort National Cemetery. In doing so, The story of the first Memorial Day was almost entirely forgotten, but not by the African Americans in Charleston, South Carolina. In a speech at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History, David Blight discussed that he was doing a story about Memorial Day's origin. After his talk, an older Black woman would approach him. She would state, "You mean the story is true? I grew up in Charleston. My granddaddy used to tell stories of a parade at an old racetrack, but we never knew whether to believe him or not. You mean that's true?" Thank you. I'm your host, Country Boy, and this has been One Mic History. And if you have questions or you just want to leave your comments, like I said, you can do so at onemichistory.com in the contact page. Thank you for listening, and peace.